Hey everyone, it's Hayes, and in today's video we're going to be discussing some more Season 5 episode theories relating to the titles. Now, we already discussed all of the episodes relating to a Miraculous apart from Destruction, Transmission, Emotion, Recreation and Action, and we didn't discuss the other episodes that don't match with Miraculous either. So today we will be discussing theories for episodes 3 Destruction, 8 Reunion, 10 Transmission, 11 Deflagration, 20 Revelation, 21 Confrontation, 22 Collusion, 23 Revolution, 24 Representation, 25 Confirmation and 26 Recreation. We won't be doing 18 Emotion and 27 Action just because I want to make separate videos discussing them, with one video probably on each because I want to talk a bit more in depth about Chloe and Felix's roles and my predictions for them in this next season and these episodes in particular. So let's go in order and kick things off with episode 3 Destruction, which we know is for the Cat Miraculous. Now, we all know Adrian still has it didn't get stolen, unless someone steals it at the end of episode 2, but I do doubt that, but I guess it could happen. Assuming it doesn't get stolen, the focus in this episode will presumably not be on getting a Miraculous back, but it will focus on Cat Noir, and in particular, I think, his relationship with Ladybug. We saw all season, particularly from episodes 13 to 18, and then in 23, just how much Ladybug ignoring him was affecting him, and I mean, bloody hell, he was finally forced to put on a pair of jammers on because of it. You could tell he was sad when that happened. If you gotta put your gym jams on, sadness all over. She finally acknowledged it all in the ending of Strike Back, but I definitely don't think in that scene Cat Noir forgave her for everything. Let's remember the context of that scene. He's just seen her have a panic attack, and now he knows Hawk Daddy has all of the Miraculouses. Shouting at her in that moment for the way she's treated him, even when she brings it up and not him in the first place, would not be the right reaction from Adrian, who is literally the nicest person on the planet. He basically says, I'll be there for you to get the Miraculouses back. He doesn't say, the way you treated me was fine, don't worry about it, I barely even noticed, so let's go and fight Hawk Daddy. Yes. That's not what he said at all, and I think this episode could address how he's feeling. As we saw in Season 4, episodes 1, 2 and 3, Truth, Lies and Gang of Secrets, just by their episode titles alone, really set the precedent for the themes and tone that were going to be carried throughout the season. I think episode 1 and 2 of Season 5, Evolution and Multiplication, will set the stakes of the season in terms of getting the Miraculouses back, and 3 Destruction will be Adrian confronting Ladybug about how he feels and will focus on their relationship, and set a precedent that in this season they will rebuild that relationship. As we know, Season 4 was all about lies and secrets, and Ladybug kept a lot from Cat Noir, so I think most of the season will be spent with them rebuilding their relationship, and for him to be able to trust her again. It's going to take a while for sure, but if they look at it a little in each episode, it'll be built back up strong by the end of the season. In this episode, I think Ladybug will finally tell him about Cat Blanc and about her telling someone her identity, and he will tell her about Catwalker. This has to be a two-way street, he can't keep secrets from her either. I do think things will turn out for the best between them, and they desperately need to, because I'm pretty sure we'll get the reveal this season. I swear to God if we don't. Thomas, I am out of threats and selling my organs to you. I will just pay you at this point for the reveal to happen. I am also hoping in this episode Adrian will work out a way to increase Cat Noir's power. Ladybug did it and so did Shadow Daddy, so I hope he can do it this season too. So now let's talk about episode 8 Reunion. So a reunion is 2 or more people coming together who perhaps haven't seen each other for a while, and I think there are a few possibilities here. A really out there theory that I think is the least likely to happen, but I do quite like it, is that perhaps past Ladybugs reunite to give advice and support to Marinette. Like I said, quite unlikely, but I'd love to see it. I mean, she's going to need a lot of support this season. If I had been her, I would have given up at Mr. Pigeon, mainly because his outfit is hideous, but also due to the stress too, she's going to need a lot of support. More likely theories for this episode, I think, is that again, it has a bigger focus on her and Cat Noir, perhaps seeing the other person in a new light, or how they used to see each other, hence why it's a reunion, or maybe Ladybug gives out some Miraculouses for the first time this season. Of course, I know Marinette sees everyone at school still, but she and Cat Noir will have been fighting alone, and I'm sure Ladybug will be very reluctant to give out Miraculouses now. Actually, this season I'm really hoping to see a lot more fusions, that would be really cool, but I think this episode could be the first time she gives them out and they will reunite with some of the other heroes. Next up is episode 10, Transmission, and also part 1 of the Kwame's Choice. Now, we do know the Kwames don't really have a choice. They do have to do whatever their owner tells them, like we saw with New Nuru when Gabriel wouldn't let him talk, and how he managed to stop Plague in Ephemeral. They only seem to have free will if their wearer lets them, like we see with Marinette and Tiki and Adrian and Plague. Even though Kwamis are technically little gods, they don't really seem to have all that much control. As such, I feel this episode could be more focused on Gabriel. We know from Ezra, and if you don't know who Ezra is, he is the voice director for the English dub of the show. We know from Ezra that they have indeed hired a voice actor for Emily, so perhaps we'll get some of the flashbacks I know a lot of us have been waiting for in the show. However, like I said, this is part one of the Kwami's choice, so I do feel like Nuru is going to have a somewhat bigger role in this episode, which will be nice since we hardly ever get to see him. He and Daddy Agrest barely talk, so I feel like we could see Nuru interact with the other Kwamis. Gabriel now has. I mean, how is Gabriel going to feed all these Kwamis? It's not going to be possible. This man barely looks after his own son. Oh my god. But he does look after Adrian though, and who would be amazing at this? Maurice, the bodyguard. He would feed them all. He'd be so good at it. This is my official petition to let Adrian's bodyguard take care of the Kwamis. He'd be the best Kwami dad. So now let's talk about episode 11, Deflagration. And I'll tell you this for now, but right, first time I saw this episode list, I was like, oh my god, okay, why? This season has been over for just over a week. I just want to have a break. But then I was like, okay, this is exciting. And then I read the titles and I was like, what do half of these words even mean? So apparently, Deflagration, not even sure if I'm saying it right, means to heat up and burn something away. Thomas, are you okay? Honestly, this episode is the one that I have the least amount of ideas for, due to its very, very odd title, but it seems to allude to losing something as it's being burned away. That's quite broad and could refer to many things, but since it's quite specific to burning, I'm wondering if the lightning power of the Dragon Miraculous could be used here, as the next episode is 12 Perfection, which is for the Dragon Miraculous. What it would be used for though exactly, I'm not sure. 20 is revelation, and a revelation is a surprising fact that is revealed that others may know about already, and I think we're all thinking the same thing here, identity reveal time. By this point we know that Alia and Luca know who Ladybug is, and Luca also knows who Cat Noir is, so it would be a revelation for Marinette and Adrian to find out, and I believe either Thomas Astruc or Winnie said the reveal would be unexpected. I think a lot of us are expecting it at the very end of the season, as in to happen in the last episode, so episode 20 instead would be unexpected. And we do also know that SAMG are animating 2 episodes this season, one being 27 Action and the other being 20 Revelation, which does seem to point to them being the most important episodes this season, which would add up to this being the reveal. Right now, I'm unsure about how I feel about it being in episode 20, and that's only because of the state of Lady Noir right now, and if they reveal without their relationship being repaired to some degree, I'm unsure how positively Adrian and Marinette will react to the other person. However, let's not put all of our eggs in one basket. This revelation could perhaps be referring to Adrian finding out he's a senti monster, or someone else finding out who his dad is. I do think the identity reveal between Adrian and Marinette is the most likely scenario for this episode though. Episode 21 is Confrontation, which is a hostile or argumentative situation or meeting between opposing parties. Now, assuming the reveal does happen in the previous episode and Lady Noir still isn't repaired enough, this could lead to Adrian and Marinette falling out with each other. The way Ladybug behaved towards Cat Noir in season 4 is certainly behaviour Adrian wouldn't expect from Marinette. Or again, if the revelation is something to do with Adrian and his dad, perhaps Adrian could confront Gabriel about many things. They have a lot to talk about. If Adrian finds out in Revelation who his dad is or what he's doing with his mum, that's just going to add to the ever-growing list of things Adrian desperately needs to talk to his dad about. Next is episode 22, Collusion, which means secret or illegal cooperation or conspiracy in order to deceive others, which means to trick other people to lie to them. Of course you can collude with yourself and come up with some scheme alone, but it does usually refer to one or more person helping you. Perhaps in this episode we could see Felix and Adrian team up, or maybe Felix, Adrian and Marinette. I do feel like Felix will be redeemed this season, but more in that in the video I make on him. This This also could be referring to something between Lila and Daddy Agreste, or Lila and Chloe, which right now I think is the most likely bet. We saw how they worked together in Risk, and I think they will definitely carry that through into this season, and they will both help Hawk Daddy. However, I am pretty sure Lila is going to be the Hawkmoth of the future, so I feel like Lila, either alone or with the help of Chloe, will start working together to overthrow Gabriel, and the next episode, Revolution, which means a forcible overthrow of a government or social order in favour of a new system, so like overthrowing whoever's in power, which in this case would be Gabriel, could see Lila and Chloe revolting against Gabriel, and then 24 Representation, which is the act of speaking or acting on behalf of someone else, could see Lila pretending to be Hawkmoth because she's now in charge. We know at this point they'll still have the Be Miraculous, which could immobilise Gabriel, and if Lila akumatizes Chloe into Queen Wasp, she can use that power indefinitely to keep him subdued. It's perhaps a little too dark for a kids show, but the rating is going higher for this next season. Episode 23 Revolution could also be referring to Adrien perhaps revolting against his dad, or if he really does fall out with Marinette/Ladybug after the reveal, he could revolt against her leadership. 25 is Confirmation, and when you conform to something, you're following the rules. So with that in mind, I think this episode could be about Adrien and his dad and all the Sentimonster stuff. If his dad still has the ring, then Adrien has to conform to him, but perhaps Gabriel will finally give Adrien his amok in this episode. And finally we have episode 26, Recreation, which is referring to the Ladybug Miraculous. And not gonna lie, knowing this episode is the last day part 2, it's making me feel kind of sick, but it does also make sense. Miraculous chronologically started on the first day of a new school year, and Thomas Astruc has said before each season is about 2 to 3 months. If that's the case, then by the end of season 5, it'll have been a full year of school, approximately, and Marinette and Adrien are also 14, which means they're in their final year of middle school in France. They receive their Miraculouses on the first day of the school year, so this is the last day of the school year and also the last day of school at DuPont, which is so sad to think in season 6 and 7 they won't be at DuPont anymore. This is upsetting. Anyway, perhaps it also refers to this as being their last day with their Miraculouses before Suhan takes them back off the 2 of them. He did want them back in episode 6, Furious Fu, and I'm sure he'll want them back again after the events of Strike Back. So if they get the majority of the missing Miraculouses back, presumably at this point the only missing ones are the Butterfly, Peacock and Bee, maybe Suhan will take the Miraculouses off them and decide to finish the job off himself. However, Ladybug and Cat Noir, we know they exist in the future because of Time Tagger, so I'm not that worried about it, but I'm just... it's making me feel slightly ill to think that's possibly what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like the last day here could definitely be referring to more than one thing. As for how this ties into Marinette and the Ladybug Miraculous, I'm not entirely sure yet. Maybe Hawk Daddy does win and recreates the universe, or perhaps something happens to Adrien or Natalie and Marinette takes the decision to bring them back. It being called recreation rather than just creation is certainly very interesting, and I think it does refer to Ladybug using her power, but as we found out in Mr. Pigeon 72, the only limit on your powers are the ones you put on yourself. So maybe Ladybug finds a way to increase her powers even more to do something we haven't even seen yet. I think that could be a possibility as well. Like I said, we're going to discuss Emotion and Felix and Action and Chloe another time, so I'd love to know your thoughts on the episode theories I've just discussed, besties, and I'll see you in the next one.